What's happening, folks? Francis Vapes here. And today, I'm going to do another build. I'm just going to have to do it from this angle today. But I have here a piece of 26 gauge titanium wire, okay? And I have here a velocity deck, okay? Now, last video I did talked about, and I did one earlier, and it talked about, I talked about trying to achieve the proper resistance, okay? So, for me, I don't think that at 0.2, with the 60 watt device I have here, that it was sufficient. So if you have like a Sigelli 75 watt, or you have a IPV-D2, which I'm not sure the Sigelli supports titanium, but I know the IPV-D2 does. So if you're using a device like this, that's kind of like that 60 to 70 watt range, supporting titanium, and you're looking for a good all-day scenario for dripping with temp control, that's what I'm trying to achieve here. I'm like in search of the perfect vape. And there are 5 factors that go into this for me. The first one is vapor production. That's what it's all about. I don't have to have big clouds, but I need nice vapor production. After all, we are vaping, right? The second one is flavor. Gotta have flavor. Otherwise, again, it's a moot point for me. The next thing that's important to me is density. So I like the vape to be dense. And then number 4 is heat. I need it to be hot, you know? I like to have a hot, dense, flavorful, plentiful vape, right? And then the last thing that's important to me is battery life. And maybe this is not a con for some of you people when you're building like this, but for me, when I'm doing this temp control thing, my battery's I need to find a good scenario. And that's one of the reasons I switched to titanium, besides the safety concerns. So I use steamengine.org to calculate a lot of times what my build is I'm gonna estimate, you know, and it works pretty well. It's a really valuable tool for me. And it says that if I use this titanium wire and I do 17.8 wraps, I'll hit 0.4. So I'm probably going to go about 15, and this is on both, this is dual coil, around a 3 millimeter. So I'm going to do 15. So titanium wire, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And when I'm doing titanium, I'm typically doing contact coils. I'm not doing the space coils like the nickel. I haven't had any problems with that yet. I try to get these wrapped as close as possible so I don't have any. There's a couple of slight gaps in there. And I'll probably have to tweak this. I read somewhere in a forum that you're not supposed to pulse titanium because there's like some sort of oxidation process that happens. But from what I understand, if you just rinse your coils off, it's safe. There's like an oxidation thing that happens, and then there's like this white residue that's left on the wire after you pulse. And I have not been paying attention to that. I just never noticed. So they say to rinse your coils after you've pulsed them and pinched them to make sure that that's safe. I don't know how accurate or true that is. But anytime there's a safety concern, I like to put it out there when I'm building. So I'm going to go ahead and just install this coil. Love the velocity for the temp control builds because I have the room to put these wraps, these like really big coils in here. And this one is 15 wraps is really not all that bad after dealing with nickel. And you know, nickel, there's a lot of 15 wrap builds I've done, but they're always single coils. So for me, it's kind of nice to be able to do this dual 15 wrap build because, you know, typically I'm doing 25, in that neighborhood wraps to achieve the resistance that I want, and I have tightened the wrong damn screw. Pay no attention to me as I'm tightening the wrong screw. So, I'm installing this coil, and then I am going to have to do some kind of tweaking, and I don't know. It kind of just spaced itself out kind of nicely, actually. So I may just leave that. I don't know that I'm going to pulse this one because I kind of like, I don't feel like it's out of shape, really. Oops, I just kind of bent it out of shape, though. But I kind of like the way it came out. Now I'm kind of tweaking it the wrong way, of course, so I may have to do that, but I don't know. That looks pretty good. The camera quality is not that great here, but eventually I will upgrade that. Been very busy with my juice company and the promotion of that, and the relaunch and redesign of that. So, time gets away from you. You forget about things when you're busy with family life and business and things of that nature. Okay, we're at my second coil now. And when I'm doing this, I didn't show you the first time, but I'm keeping a very close tension on this to make sure that my wraps are as close as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, very tight. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then I always kind of go extra on that one because it's going to spring back the other way, the last wrap. But I try to keep that tension, no slack in that wire when I'm wrapping because I feel like with nickel and titanium, you kind of just got to get it, as close as you can, because with nickel there really isn't a pulsing and pinching option, and with titanium it's really not nearly as easy as with Kanthal or nichrome or those other wire types. So I really try to get it as close to like the final orientation as it's going to be. So the less adjusting I have to do with nickel and titanium, the better. And I think I might just kind of try and roll with this, just because I think it's going to be okay. I'll know once I get it wicked and fired. And, I can always pull the wick out. And tweak those coils a little bit if I have to. That's always an option. But again, I try to get these as close as where I want them upon installation, And I think, these look not too bad. Titanium isn't, it's a little different than nickel. I can kind of squeeze this a little bit and kind of just, I'm not, pulsing these or anything. I'm just kind of squeezing them a little bit while they're, room temperature, thinking maybe I can get them, aligned a little better. And that looks pretty good, really. I've had a lot worse. I've had some nickel coils that just looked a mess, But, nickel tends to operate a lot better, even though it looks crazy. So here, there we go. Here's our final, well, at least what I'm going to try to use. Grab some wicking material here. I find that's the easiest way for me to get the wick I'm looking for. You know, and you know, this is an important step in this process because you need to have a fairly large amount of, I mean, the cotton needs to be pretty tight inside this coil. Not so tight that it'll have trouble wicking, but it has to be tight enough that you're getting lots of, you're touching all the surfaces of the coil on the inside, you know, and you're not, the cotton can't be loose inside because then you won't be touching the coil with you know, all of your cotton. And so then what happens is the temperature will get limited unnecessarily because, you know, you're, well, I guess it would be necessary, but prematurely because you don't have enough juice on that coil, so the coil will get hotter quicker. So then the vapor production will be lower because the temperature will be limited faster by the chip. And that's, it's kind of strange, you know, the first time you you realize that your wicking is giving you problems because you're like, man, you know, I can see that it's firing, it's not, you know, but it's just only giving it like, you know, 6 watts or something, you know. And then you kind of like, oh, okay, I understand. You know, it takes a second to like figure this out. I did a lot of trial and error with nickel. And I'm doing that right now with titanium. I'm just looking for a nice resistance range for 60 watts, basically. I want this, you know, I'm trying to make this device work for my daily life. You know, I want the vapor production, the flavor, the density, the heat, and the battery life. And I'm really, you know, yesterday I had a nice build going. The video that I did earlier, you know, that was, I built that yesterday, and that was like, and the CLT V3, that was a really, it's a pretty nice build, but I don't think that there's enough wattage in this box to really push it to its limits, you know. Excuse me. And so I think I have to go a little bit higher resistance to achieve that effect that I'm looking for. All right. Now, one thing I have to be sure that I do is to set the resistance on this. And sometimes with these devices, there is not one yet, besides the DNA, that does this really totally properly. So I'm going to hit this until it says no atomizer when I click on the button, so that it knows that, you know, this is going to be a new coil. And it may ask me and it may not. It is asking. New coil up, same down. I hit up. 0.31. So that's about where I wanted to be. So let's give it a fire. I've got it set to hard mode at 600 degrees. It's maxed out. Not too bad. Maybe kind of need to tweak these a little bit just to get them. They're not quite level with each other. You got one, this coil over here is higher than this one over here. So I'm just going to kind of bump the orientation of that one up a little bit. Do want to have some airflow underneath these coils. You know, I can stick my screwdriver right through there. Find this little notch. Here it is. The only thing about this velocity is this little notch, and maybe the authentic is like easier to deal with, but the clone, man, is like, oh my gosh, where's this notch? Okay. A lot of airflow in this RDA, man. All right, let's try. Yeah. That's nice. It's saying weak battery. It's early in the day. I didn't charge any of my batteries last night. Well, I charged my my HG2 batteries last night, which are great batteries, by the way. And I'll get another video up where I pull up the specs of that battery and we talk about the LG HG2 because I'm a big fan of these batteries. And right now I'm just using the predecessor, the HE4. Need to rewrap on that one. Now, I always marry these batteries for dual 18650 boxes, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to fire it a few times so you can see how the build came out. Now, that's maxed out. But I'm getting those things that I'm looking for. I'm getting that density, I'm getting that heat, I'm getting that vapor production, I'm getting that flavor. I'm satisfied, I think, for now. There's always some other build I'm looking for. I'm going to go down to 550 and see if I'm still getting... I can tell right away it's nice and hot. That's great. So there's a successful build, guys, with titanium, 26 gauge on a 60 watt device. I don't know how long that battery's going to last. I'm going to take it out anyways because it's a married battery. It's out there cheating on its partner. But yeah, that's great, man. I'll tell you what. This is my recommendation. Velocity, 26 gauge, 15 wraps, 3mm bit, 550 degrees. Point comes up to 0.31. It's 60 watts. It's great. Velocity is good for temp control. It allows the space for the coils. It has those those grub screws. The bottoms, I didn't have to take them out and sand them. They hold the wire nicely. They don't break the wire. So anyways, there you go, guys. Appreciate everybody for watching. Francis Vapes here. Like, comment, subscribe. And I guess that's it. I'm out.